Welcome back, everyone. It is the weekend recap of Simply Bitcoin, and what a weekend it's been. We break down the news, the daily fail, meme review, software releases, hardware releases, and the plebsites. Joining us today, right, the new addition to Simply Bitcoin and the co-host of Bitcoin Kindergarten, I am talking about Optimus Fields. Optimist, welcome back.
Phil? What's up, Nico? Hi, guys. I have a better mask this week. I'll be able to talk.
So he will not be passing out during his segment, okay? All right, let's dive into the numbers. Here we go.
Number time! Number time is brought to you by Nodl. They make some of the best Bitcoin nodes, like the famous Nodl Dojo. It's in red. That means it's faster. Run your own version of Bitcoin Core and the Lightning Network, all in the comfort of your own home with the Nodl. Remember, guys, if you don't use your own node, you're trusting someone else's. That's a big no-no for privacy. Get yourself a Nodl today.
At the time of this recording, the block height is 735,542. The Bitcoin price, 34,100. Chain rewrite days, 725. Total public Lightning capacity, it keeps climbing. 3,763.57. Moscow time, 29:33. Blocks to the halvening, 104,458. And the Samurai Whirlpool unspent capacity. Samurai Whirlpool is a CoinJoiner collaborative spend. It is not a mixing service. And the total unspent capacity for that pool is 4,609.94. That jumped over 100 BTC, Nico, or almost 100 BTC since we last reported it.
Absolutely, man.
Wow.
Brutal weekend. That's just how it is. You just got to hodl, take advantage of these lower prices. Anyways, guys, I want to do a follow-up. This is going to be the fourth time we talk about this. If you guys have been living under a bridge, the Biden administration announced the Bureau of Misinformation, right? It's going to be a branch of Homeland Security, right? And it's absolutely dystopian, right? It's the Ministry of Truth. The government is going to get to decide what is true or not. Absolutely scary, but it's being brought up in Congress. Check out Senator Rand Paul, and he questioned the viability of a Ministry of Truth by the government. Anyways, let's check it out.
Do we have policies? Do we have guardrails? Do we have standards?
But here's the problem. We can't even agree. We can't even agree what disinformation is. You can't even agree that it was disinformation, that the Russians fed information to the Steele dossier. If you can't agree to that, how are we ever going to come to an agreement on what is disinformation so you can police it on social media? I think you've got no idea what disinformation is, and I don't think the government's capable of it. Do you know who the greatest propagator of disinformation in the history of the world is? The U.S. government. Are you familiar with McNamara, the Pentagon Papers? Are you familiar with George W. Bush and the weapons of mass destruction? Are you familiar with Iran-Contra? I mean, think of all the debates and disputes we've had over the last 50 years in our country. We work them out by debating them. We don't work them out by the government being the arbiter. I don't want guardrails. I want you to have nothing to do with speech. You think we can't determine speech by traffickers is disinformation? You think the American people are so stupid they need you to tell them what the truth is? You can't even admit what the truth is with the Steele dossier. I don't trust government to figure out what the truth is. Government is largely disseminating disinformation.
And he doesn't even know what the fuck to say, dude. Just look at the look on his face, man. And it's absolutely terrifying. Now, here's the thing, right? I honestly, before I read this post, I was just like, these people are maniacal. These people are just like, they want to tell you the truth. But in my opinion, I was like, dude, that's impossible. Why is that impossible? Like, it didn't make sense. But when I read this post, it absolutely made sense. It's all about power. Check out this 4chan post. The purpose of propaganda, right, which is what essentially the Ministry of Information would do, at least in its late stage form, is not to inform you, which makes sense because it's so outlandish, their claims, right? This is misinformation. This isn't whatever. The inflation is transitory, right? And this post made sense of it all, right? So it says the purpose of propaganda, at least in its late stage form, is not to inform you or deceive you or even manipulate you. It's to humiliate you. Its purpose is messages to be so outlandish, so ridiculous, and so blatantly untrue and yet totally undeniable in order to reinforce the power of the state. The Soviets referred to it as hyperrealism. That is, the state of everyone saying things that are completely false and that they know to be false, but which they cannot deny. The supermarket shelves are empty and bread lines stretch around the corner, but the newspaper report that the year's agriculture quotas have been exceeded once again. And then everyone is forced to repeat this lie, and thus they become complicit in it. It is a system of total social humiliation and control. And here's an example. I can't read that because it's part of the virus stuff, but just let's talk about other economic issues, right? Inflation is transitory. The thing that you're seeing with your own eyes is disinformation. It's not real. In the last 2 years, I'm pretty sure if you guys haven't been living under a bridge, you could think of a couple examples of that. Absolutely dystopian, super scary, and that post really explains it, man. And look at that guy's face. Mayorkas, the head of Department of Homeland Security, when Ron Paul literally was giving him factual examples, and he has the hubris to be like, but this time is different. It's absolutely crazy. And remember, what happens when central bank digital currencies are implemented? The same type of bureaucrats are going to be in charge of that. And you're trying to tell me that they're not going to censor the money? We need apolitical, uncensorable money on the base layer so that if people like that get in power, they can't touch it anyways. Phil, what are your thoughts?
It's a really interesting point about about disinformation in the late stages just being about humiliation, because if you really think about it, it gets to the point where it may not be the point of confusion, but while this information humiliates you, it also robs people of their confidence, right? It robs people of their confidence, and it robs people, I think, of just being a human, right? It's actually dehumanizing. And you know, you're at the point where it's exactly, you gave a great example with the transitory inflation. Like you honestly, you start to just believe that the government thinks that you're just an idiot. You know, like, and is this real? And it's exactly what it is. It becomes hyper realism. And I'm very afraid that in the last 2 years, like you said, like we are starting to reach the beginning of that peak. Okay, like I think some things that people don't realize is that, you know, when things happen, right, they happen in waves, but as that wave is building up, there's a pendulum sway. Okay, and as that pendulum sways, it continues upwards, right? So it goes down a little bit, but not as low as it was before, and then it picks back up even higher. And what this has to do with is it has to do with the pickup in misinformation, in this hyper-realism. Okay, and so maybe right now, you know, we kind of hit a trough where it's like it's coming back down, but just wait. It's building back up again. And I honestly think that it's only going to get worse, because really people in their everyday lives, think of what we just went through for the last 2 years. Do you think people have the average person that we have the capacity to wade through all of this information, figure out what's true, what isn't? I mean, everybody's just trying to figure out how they're going to put their lives together and how to get back to their families and how to, you know, pretend like the last 2 years didn't just rob them of everything. Right? Like anyways, this is scary stuff, and good for Rand Paul, right? At least somebody is saying what other people are thinking.
Yeah.
At least we know that it's not all hyper-realism in politics, right?
At least there's some sane people left, but it's absolutely terrifying. Optimist, you're an optimist. Are you optimistic about this?
I mean, I am optimistic in general, but man, that quote about hyperrealism in Soviet Russia, I don't know, that really hit me, because I've been having that same feeling recently, the past 6 months to a year. It's like, man, like, how is it that only Bitcoiners understand what's going on? And then we get gaslit and we see the media and everyone's against us, and it's like, wow, this does all seem extremely phony. It's all fugazi. And it's like you were talking, and it just, I keep hearing the Big Brother quote, like they keep, the party told you to, forget what you see with your eyes and your ears and believe the party line. And I feel we are at that point right now, because a lot of people in Normie Land are not living in reality, and you can obviously tell that they're, feeding the party line, through and through. They're listening to the media, they're completely brainwashed, and they will believe anything that the authority figures tell them. And it's really terrifying. But, this is why we do the show. This is why we do everything on Twitter, is to fight the narrative. So bullish on Bitcoiners and Bitcoin.
Absolutely.
Obviously.
We fight the narrative with facts, with sources, right? And they even if they get caught, they gaslight us. And now we know why. It's not so much to debunk what we're saying, it's just to show that the state controls it. This is the state's official narrative. This is the state's power. And you have to believe it. It's dystopian. I can't believe we're living through a time like this. But anyways, Phil, it's time for
The Daily Fail. Brought to you by Swan Bitcoin. Check them out, swanbitcoin.com. The easiest way to dollar cost average into Bitcoin. That's right. It's the best way to build your stack, automated Bitcoin savings plan, and an app to come. The link is down below. California startup is offering a cocoon-like pods to allow 14 residents to share a single house as an escape from soaring rents and real estate prices. That's right, folks. Instead of figuring out how to fix the broken money and how to actually make everybody's lives better for longer, looking forward into the future, let's just cram everyone into smaller spaces. Let's just have everybody living through the revolution of lowered expectations and cheering, right? Like cheering while we go into it. Any thoughts on this?
Yeah, remember, they even tell you, dude, they want you to eat bugs, live in a pod, owe nothing, and be happy, and this is exactly what's playing out. And you have a way to opt out of it, and that's called Bitcoin, which is why they attack it the way they do. This is absolutely terrifying. I don't know who, even in my in my late teens, early 20s, I would not want to live in a pod with a bunch of strangers, bro.
But that looks so comfortable and cozy.
If I had it to myself, maybe. So what happened?
Have that little box to yourself right there. Look, you can see it.
So do you just hear a few people fart and stuff at night? Like, it's so crazy, dude.
It's minimal and chic, Nico. Come on. You need some style.
What if you have your partner over for the night? Like, what happens?
Not when you're, listen, when you're living in that pod, there's no partners. There's no partners. They in pods like this, something else happens. It's called a struggle snuggle. Okay? That's what happens in this thing. Anyways, all right, moving on. Nobody wants to live this pod life.
That's worse than jail. Jail, at least you get a cell.
At least you get a toilet, I heard. This is awful. Okay, anyways, moving on. Nobody wants the pod life. We're opting out of the World Economic Forum and their master plan. We want nothing to do with this. Let's move on from this horrible stuff. The weekend of failure. Let's dive into it. Boom. How ERC 4626 could fuel the next wave of shitcoining and rug pulls. If I hit my giant freaking glasses into the mic one more time, I'm going to freak out. Anyways, here we go. I don't know why all of a sudden I have the mic in this other position. I don't know what's going wrong. Okay, doesn't matter. Let's dive into this. Here we go, right? The ERC 4626. What am I talking about? The next wave of DeFi. Here we go, people. Hold on to your hats. That's right. We haven't had enough with the rug pulls. We haven't had enough with the NFTs that where you're buying a hash that are going nowhere that we already destroyed several times. Here we go. The next wave. Since the explosion of decentralized finance in summer 2020, a concept called yield farming emerged. User deposit funds to a platform such as the lending protocol Compound and get rewarded with a share of the profits as their deposits are loaned out. Doesn't that sound amazing? Compound was wrecked for $147 million. Okay. It sounds great, right? Decentralized finance, but yet somehow this centralized platform got rug pulled and $147 million disappeared. Okay, let's move on. Yield farming was less attractive to individual users without significant capital or knowledge of the concept, which led to the introduction of yield aggregators, sets of smart contracts that pool user funds and optimize yields. These quickly became known as vaults. Now we're going to just go right back to the rec leaderboard. I did something for everyone. I added up all of these projects on the rec leaderboard. Okay, there's 89 projects. We are talking over $3.4 billion of rug pulls. Okay? Just think about that. So when you think about the word vaults, I just don't picture $3.4 billion of rug pulls in these vaults. Anyways, these vaults lacked implementation standards. That's the problem. Which led to multiple complexities. Yield aggregators, vaults, lending markets, and native yield tokens were always implemented with slight variations. It was difficult to build apps on top of the vaults, and it created the potential for security vulnerabilities. Scaling was also limited. So this is the problem, guys. We had an issue. We released it anyways. You all got rugged for over $3.4 billion. We're sorry, but look, we've got this new thing. This thing is going to fix it. We're going to patch this up. Okay? So, an Ethereum proposal created on December 22nd, led by FEI protocol founder Jay Santaro, set out to change that. Enter ER6 4626. Now, why is it important that the person that led the FEI protocol put in this proposal that's going to fix this problem? This is why it's important. Because I'm scrolling. That's right. We're going up on the board because they are number 10 on the leaderboard for $80 million in rug pulls. And here we go. April 30th, 2022. We are aware of an exploit on various rare fuels pools. We have identified the root cause and paused all borrowing to mitigate further damage. To the exploiter, please accept a $10 million bounty and no questions asked if you return the remaining user funds. Now, let's go back to the Ethereum improvement protocol that this person, who their own project got rug pulled, is putting forth. While the proposal's main goal was to establish robust implementation standards for the vaults, $80 million rug pull, it also outlined the potential security implications of vaults lacking a specific standard. So the person who got rugged is going to put in the standards. Establishing standardized vaults open up new possibilities for interoperability between different protocols. And we go back right here again one more time, guys. $3.4 billion of rug pulls. So this new proposal that's going to introduce these vaults, this special mechanism that's going to fix the vaults, I'm pretty sure we're going to be reporting on it in the next 3 to 6 months once people start to roll crap out on this thing and they start to get rug pulled. Don't be fooled, okay? This is going to be the new thing, very much like the old thing. Anyways, Nico?
Dude, I just like they just have to keep coming up with more stuff, dude. It's like the ERZ20 tokens. No, we need the 4626 now. Even though it's gotten rug pulled already, it's like you could trust us now, dude. It's just a bunch of dog shit. We've seen this over and over and over and over again. And hopefully, some of you guys watching, because I see it in the comments all the time, right? We got a question the other day. Hey, so are you should only buy Bitcoin? Yes. Everything else is centralized. Everything else, you depend on a human being to play by the rules, right? So don't depend on a human being. Don't trust anybody. Get yourself some Bitcoin, take it into self-custody, problem solved. Optimus, what are your thoughts?
Well, I am literally in shock right now at how much money has been lost in rug pulls. $3 billion. That's absolutely amazing. And also just horrible to consider that that money could have been used way better on Bitcoin. But hey, I'm not here to nitpick. And guys, I just was reminded of the classic Vitalik meme of, okay, guys, can you just stop trading, please? And then, of course, them trying to bribe the hacker to give the money back. Like, hey, you can have some of the money. We'll give us some money back, guys. It's a shit show, guys. It's amazing.
It's a shit show.
Just think of the irony, though. Okay, I'm sorry, Nico. Just quickly, just think of the irony. The person who started another project that got rug pulled put together an improvement protocol to make vaults safer. When literally, and just to add, it's actually $3.668 billion of rug.
Almost 4.
Dude, it's absolutely crazy. And the really sad part about this, guys, is that it gives Bitcoin a bad name. Because for anyone who's not initiated into this, right, it gives fuel to the European Central Bank. It gives fuel to the FATFA, the Financial Action Task Force. It gives fuel to the politicians like Elizabeth Warren in the United States that are saying crypto's too risky. Yeah, they're right. Crypto is a scam. Bitcoin is not, but they combine the two, right? So it just gives Bitcoin a bad name. And more importantly, they attack Bitcoin, right? It's just a scam, man. Stay away from it. If you're beginning, it's really hard not to, like, you know, dip your toes in the shitcoinery. But when you get wrecked, you will remember Nico, Phil, and Optimus. Anyways, Phil, it's time for
the Daily Meme Review.
Brought to you by Citadel 21. It's the best Bitcoin cultural zine. It's stories, articles, comics by actual Bitcoiners. Every volume has different artwork. This is the artwork for volume 10. And this is the artwork for volume 11. And they're scarce. There's only 1,000 copies made per volume. Get your prints of Citadel 21 today before they run out. All right, everybody. Phil, I've been here. I know you've been here. Optimus, you've probably been here. Guys, and this, thank God Phil told me this, right? Most Bitcoiners I've talked to started in shitcoins. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Because you don't know any better. But if you still been in shitcoins after a couple of years, what's that saying? Shame on me first, shame on you first time, second time, shame on you, shame on me. Yeah, you get it. Anyways, no shame. We've all been there when you first discover altcoins. I want to know who the Bitcoiners are that skip that, right? It's very rare. Most Bitcoiners start there. Okay, anyways, next one by BTC Padre. Hope you have more liquidity, Anon. Plebs, 34K. Yeah, cash is king. Cash is king with the dips, man. All right, here we go. Solomon Ultra, get your Bitcoin into self-custody. Absolutely. New Bitcoiners 1 hour before their coins off an exchange. Repeat after me. I am my own bank. I will think like a bank. 2 weeks later, I told you I'm the baddest bank. That's great. That's a great meme, Solomon.
Right?
Shout out to you, buddy. All right, next one by Matt James. What is my purpose? I exchange you for sats. Oh my God. All right, moving on. Shout out Walton. Bitcoin is Kenny. Oh my God, they killed Bitcoin, you bastards.
This is amazing.
I don't get it.
Are you okay? So hold on. So for South,
because he doesn't kill.
he
Danny
dies in
doesn't
every
die,
episode and he never dies.
He doesn't die, dude. That's a great one, dude. That's
amazing.
A great one.
Yeah.
Forgive me for not understanding South Park lore, but I remembered it. I was like, oh, that's right. Kenny
It's just
doesn't
not
die.
timeless. You know what I mean? Like you have to understand the South Park lore. So yeah, I get it.
True.
It's
It's true.
niche-ish.
Here is Roger Psychopath, definitely a Bitcoiner. Happy Keynesian Friday. A meme a week until the clown is dead. Keynesian economics. And the idea that an entity that produces nothing can boost production. It's true, man. It's crazy. It's like, let's print more money that will solve all issues. It's absolute clown world. You could save yourself a Bitcoin. Awesome memes. And for that, I'm going to give it a new speaker that I got. But check this out. Look how addicting the sound is when you turn it on. All right. What would you give those memes, Phil?
I like that. Kind of wanted to hear it again. Okay, anyways, you know me. All I've got left are stickers here. All right, so here we go. I don't know what booth I got this from, but this honey badger Bitcoin sticker. Cool honey
cool.
badger dude.
Very cool. Anyways, Optimus, what would you give those memes?
All right. Shout out to that Rick and Morty one about the dollar's only point of existence is to be exchanged into sats. That's a banger. For today's meme review score, I have this hot pink 3D printed Spectre case that I was gifted at Miami conference by Richard. His Twitter is at Surface Plasma. Shouts out to you, bro. I still haven't made it yet, but it will get made soon enough.
Awesome scores, man. All right, we came through on the Monday show, the weekend edition, or the Sunday edition. I don't know. Anyways, guys, we want to know if you agree with our scores, you disagree. Let us know down in the comment section. Comment. Make sure to subscribe to us on alternative video platforms like rumble.com and bitcointv.com. They don't censor there because it's Bitcoin TV. And make sure to join our awesome Telegram group. It's a party. You can link us some dank memes to review on the Telegram group. So join it right now. Anyways, Phil, it's time for
The Daily News.
Brought to you by CryptoCloaks.com. They make the best 3D printed Bitcoin merch, like the famous 3D printed Bitcoin grenade toy. Also comes in different colors, like in gold, and you get the famous 3D printed Bitcoin honey badger. And you can take advantage of the promo code down below to get 5% off anything off the CryptoCloaks.com online store. All right, guys, like we've been saying, we've been making the case. There is Bitcoin is getting political. It is political. Now, there's two sides, right? You have some congressmen and women supporting it. You have some congressmen and women against it, right? And it's just really interesting how this is playing out. Anyways, I thought this was insane. The fact that a senator was again saying that she owns Bitcoin, right? And she holds it for retirement. And check out all the other things that she has to say as well. She mentions how the US government printing money hurts American citizens. That's insane. Anyways, let's check it out.
I encourage people to buy and hold. I encourage them to say Bitcoin for their retirement, for their future. And that's because as the Congress spends trillions and trillions of dollars and is flooding our economy and the world economy with US dollars, there's no way that we cannot debase the value of the US dollars.
And Lemma's practices which she preaches. She's an investor in Bitcoin as well.
I buy Bitcoin and I hold Bitcoin.
You buy Bitcoin?
Oh, yes.
You have Bitcoin?
I do.
How much Bitcoin do you have?
Well, I only have, I think, 5 Bitcoin.
So only 5 Bitcoin, but she bought them in 2013 for about $300 each. So she can now add a couple of zeros to that number. And Wyoming is in the process of setting up its own crypto banking system that Lummis hopes will become a model.
I encourage people.
So, right, you have Senator Lummis saying, yes, I encourage people to buy it for retirement because the U.S. government is debasing the currency. But you have some senators that are completely against that. Check out this Wall Street Journal article. Senator Elizabeth Warren, we've heard her name a couple times, questions Fidelity's plan to put Bitcoin in 401ks, right? Let's check out a little bit of the article. I'm just going to read a bit. Senator Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts and Tina Smith of Minnesota, so 2 senators, raised questions about a plan by Fidelity's Investments to let investors put Bitcoin in their 401ks in a letter to the company's chief executive, arguing that crypto might be too risky an asset for retirement savers. And this is why I said the bit that I said about shitcoins. If they keep combining shitcoins with Bitcoin, because Fidelity didn't advocate for shitcoins. Fidelity advocated for Bitcoin and 401ks. But here you have the article saying it's crypto. It's not crypto, right? Anyways, let's hear what some thought leaders in Bitcoin had to say about this, right? We had James Lavish on the other day. So I could take all my cash, head down to the Bellagio, and bet it all on black, no questions. But if I want to allocate a few percent of my 401k to Bitcoin, Senator Warren suddenly has a problem. Here's Michael Saylor. If we believe in freedom and property rights, we should let adults make their own choices rather than tell them what to think and how they should invest their money. So, again, and we saw a smoking gun in Europe when there was that leak about European politicians openly being hostile towards Bitcoin and, supporting a shitcoin like Ethereum because of proof of stake and proof of stake of which they control. It makes me believe that Elizabeth Warren, perhaps she's not being sincere. Perhaps it's not about, worrying about people's retirements. Perhaps it's about more so if people put their money into Bitcoin, they take that orange pill. Usually when you take the orange pill, you start to usually when you're hodling Bitcoin, you start to wake up to the money printing scam, right? So I don't know, man. Again, there's no concrete evidence with Elizabeth Warren. It's just looking awfully suspicious. And I think it's absolutely maniacal in a country like the United States for the government to tell you, hey, you can't do this with the money that you earned and you spent your time and your energy on. We, the government, are telling you that you can't and cannot do this with your retirement money. It's absolutely insane to me, right? So yeah, I think that's a signal right there. I think the government feels like they own you. Like that's what it tells me, right? It's like it's your money. Why Bitcoin isn't hurting anybody. It's not a drug. It's not a narcotic. It's not anything crazy. It's not hurting anybody. So the government still doesn't want you to buy it. It's like when FDR made gold illegal. Like it's so crazy to me. Anyways, Phil, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so a couple of points. That interview with Cynthia Lummis, like, so first of all, she doxed her holdings, which is awful. But I mean, okay, like, I'm not blaming her for it, but to me, the point of that is, if you zoom out and you take a look, what it really says is the corporate-owned media still sees it as a joke, and they see it as a collectible. And how many are you holding? Why don't you tell me what you have in your bank account, and let's go through what your credit score is and all that good stuff, right? Like, nobody does that. So it's just, again, it goes to show the perception that, that particular reporter was at least seeing it, to me anyways, like a joke, okay? Or at least that the corporate-owned media sees it like a joke. So, they're treating it like a collectible, and that's kind of crappy. Now, let's dive into Senator Warren's comments about Fidelity, right? So Fidelity started looking into Bitcoin in 2017. Okay, they started wanting. They did a small program to see which of their customers would be willing to essentially make it so that they could manage their Bitcoin holdings on Fidelity. So let's take that into consideration. They have over 40 million customers. Okay, they manage retirement accounts for over 23,000 businesses. And you're going to tell me that this flash in the pan person that just shows up and is like, I think Fidelity should really look this over again. Really? You think Fidelity has no idea what they're doing? Or really does this have absolutely nothing to do with Fidelity? And it has everything to do with hampering as much as you can the adoption of Bitcoin. Because again, right? Don't forget, she's one of those people that loves the money printing, right? All of the problems get solved as long as we continue to print the money. And as a result, her incentives, along with other people that are incentivized with the money printer, are incentivized against Bitcoin. So, you know what? I just think it's complete bullshit. It draws attention to Fidelity in a negative way for no apparent reason when they've probably been doing some of the most due diligence. I mean, come on, back in 2017, you're looking at 5 years already, And it's just, I feel like it's a straw man argument on her part. It really is.
Absolutely. Optimist Fields. Are you optimistic about this?
Well, I mean, Elizabeth Warren's a joke, and the nanny state is an even bigger joke. And honestly, like, I try not to get mad anymore, but it's pretty offensive for people like Elizabeth Warren to be out here basically calling us all dumb because we don't know what we're doing, and that big nanny government knows better. Like, she knows what's best for us, and you should just listen to her opinion because she is obviously more informed than you guys are on the situation. But this just shows me they're scared, guys. They're absolutely terrified, and they need to spin the narrative in a way that the normies will latch onto. Like, they peddle fear, and that's just the game, guys. They're actors, and they're just trying to find the right line so that it blows up and they could get a scene and divert attention. So, 100%. Standard playbook.
100%. What optimist said. Phil, go ahead.
Sorry, just quickly, I wanted to say, never forget, it's always under the guise of taking care of the little person. Where were these people when in the 2008 mortgage crisis, right? All of these, they knew that these mortgages were terrible. They knew that these people could not afford them, and yet they packaged them, they resold them, they let people put their retirements into them. Never forget that, okay?
Absolutely. Absolutely, Phil. And I remember reading this somewhere, and it just struck a chord with me. Like, gold is a natural enemy of the welfare state, so is Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is a much bigger enemy to the welfare state in their eyes than gold. But anyways, check this out. Bitcoin was attacked twice this week. It was a historical week. We are absolutely winning. They would not be attacking Bitcoin if It wasn't a threat. The flak is heaviest over the target. And it was Seed Signer that said that when he came on the show. I loved it. Anyways, check out this original thought. European Central Bank and the IMF both attacked Bitcoin this week. We are winning. Let's check it out. So, the Central African Republic adopted Bitcoin, and this was a strongly worded letter by the French African Colonial Central Bank sent to the Central African Republic president, a letter stating its Bitcoin adoption will have a significant negative impact on the colonial franc system. Like, who the F are these people? A sovereign country passes a law and can't have that, but it wasn't only the Central African Republic, the French African Colonial Bank. Their friends at the IMF also said the same thing. Bitcoin adoption by Central African Republic, a concern, IMF says. But it's not only that. We also have, again, I told you two things, right? Bitcoin's under attack by the IMF, and I forgot the other one, and the European Central Bank. Let's check out the European Central Bank tweet. Crypto assets such as Bitcoin have an enormous ecological footprint. Their estimated energy consumption is comparable to that of some countries, right? So they can't beat it. They can't compete with it. So they have to rely on social attacks. Now, here's a signal, guys, that I want you guys to pay attention to is the language, right? Crypto assets such as Bitcoin have an enormous ecological footprint. Their estimated energy consumption is comparable to that of some countries. Authorities across the world need to see how this affects their sustainable finance roadmaps. Now, I want you guys to remember that language. Here is this awesome, not awesome, but here's this piece that Phil wrote, covered in the last episode about the World Economic Forum and their thoughts on cryptocurrency, right? The social, governance, and environmental impact of cryptocurrencies encompass both new opportunities and challenge. A new accelerator dedicated to shaping the future of crypto-enabled environmental, social, and governance efforts aims to bring key players and industry leaders together to shape a more inclusive future. But it's not only the World Economic Forum, it's not only the European Central Bank, it's also the New York State, right? They are banning proof of work. They already did it for 2 years because, you guessed it, environmental concerns. And I think this is the scariest part, guys, right? And this was announced last week. Biden administration unleashes new Department of Justice Environmental Justice Police. You hear that? An environmental justice police. It's always about environmental justice, same language by the WEF, similar language by the European Central Bank, and what do they all have in common? They hate Bitcoin. Now, is it too crazy to think that Biden's new Ministry of Truth and the Environmental Justice Police aren't going to use their police powers to go after Bitcoin miners because they're danger to the environment and inclusivity? Hasn't happened yet, but honestly, after I've witnessed the shit after the last 2 years, it would not surprise me. But at the end of the day, guys, this means Bitcoin is winning. They would not be doing this. They would not be resorting to the heavy hand of government and these social attacks if Bitcoin did not put the fear of God into them. And the reason is because Bitcoin allows people to opt out of their monetary policy, and that absolutely freaks them out, right? Anyways, Phil, what are your thoughts on this?
You know what? It's so funny. We're being attacked by so many different organizations, we can't even keep up anymore. Okay, and they're springing.
We can. Simply Bitcoin can. We cover it all.
Well, we're getting confused because there's so many of them. No, but it's just, I mean, it's just insane. The ESG police, look, let me tell you something. When a government knows that it's wrong, okay, about doing something, but they absolutely need to do it in order to maintain power, they create a policing organization for it. Okay. Anyways, I'm not going to get into politics or anything like that of other countries, but I can tell you this has happened in other countries where political parties feel fear and they're like, you know what? Let's create a police that will enforce what we want, and that way the votes stay in our direction. Anyways, what you have to remember about these the money spigot maximalists, right? And the politicians that are so, their power is in creating these agencies and then conferring this status that is above the law to these agencies. Okay? So who is this ESG police? Who voted for this? Like, you pay taxes. Who voted for this? You didn't vote for this. They just decided that you needed to have this. Like, you don't know any better. You're too stupid to disseminate. We are too stupid to disseminate information. We're going to create an ESG police, and you're going to follow the rules, right?
It's
and again,
so
this
fucking terrifying.
Dude, it's rules for thee and not for me again. Like, this is, and just think about it. Like, people just sit there like bobbleheads and go, okay, yeah, really?
Hey, check this out, Phil. Just to add to our point, Elon texted 27 minutes ago in the time of the recording, if I die under mysterious circumstances, it's been nice knowing you. Holy crap.
What?
Ministry of Truth, Environmental Justice Police, World Economic Forum, European Central Bank, and they all have one thing in common. They hate Bitcoin.
Dude, hyperrealism.
Uh-huh.
What you were saying at the beginning.
Dude, it all ties in. It all ties in. Anyways, Optimus, what are your closing thoughts, my friend?
Man, it's hard not to get bullish on these bits when you just got all this bullish signal coming at you, because if all these people are this afraid and they're attacking Bitcoin, like Nico and Phil are saying, it's because we're winning, guys. Like, these people are fundamentally enemies of humanity. Like, they don't want you to succeed, guys. Like, they want you back in the Stone Ages. You know, like, fundamentally, tell me energy use is bad, and then we can go from there. So, like, you know, these people literally want you wiped off the planet. Like, you are the carbon they want to eliminate. So guys, come on, man. You can't fall for these narratives. This is crazy talk.
Like, there's no way to confirm that, right? That we are the carbon, but it sure fucking feels like it, dude. It sure feels like it after all this stuff, man. It's dystopian, but it's cool. Opt out, get yourself some Bitcoin, and run your own node like a nodle, and take self-custody. Very important. Take self-custody, or you're buying fake Bitcoin. Yeah, Bitcoin. Anyways, Phil, it's time for... No, it's not. There was an open source software release today. What is everybody about it?
Software releases. Brought to you by CipherSafe. Check them out. CipherSafe.io. The best place, the most secure place to store your Bitcoin seed. Store it in the Cypher Wheel or the all-new Cypher Grid. They both come with a tamper-resistant wire, but the grid comes with a punch tool. We've got Nick's Bitcoin version 0.0.70 that was released. It's down below in the show notes. Guys, don't forget to check us out on our audio-only platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. If you want to stream a Sats, Fountain.fm, you can stream the Sats through Breeze.
Awesome. Thank you, Phil. All right, guys, before we go, I want to give a very special shout out to our awesome clothing sponsor, RepresentLTD.com. Phil has the new Bitcoin merch. I have the camo, and they're coming out with not only more Bitcoin merch, but also Simply Bitcoin merch as well. We'll keep you guys posted. You can take advantage of the promo code down below to get 10% off anything off the RepresentLTD.com store. I also want to give a very special shout out to the new member of Simply Bitcoin, the Toxic, the Amazing, at My Living Truth, Optimus Fields. That's right, he is the host of Bitcoin Kindergarten. It's every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's the best pleb hangout on Bitcoin Twitter. Anyways, guys, that was our show. If you enjoyed this, you know what to do. Smash that like button. Smash it. Smash it. And of course, you want to continue hearing the Bitcoin news from the pleb perspective and the catastrophic fails. Definitely consider subscribing to Simply Bitcoin, and we'll see you in the next one, guys.
I'm quoting our awesome guest, Optimist. We are the carbon they want to eliminate.
Supposedly.